The Perseus expanse had been silent for thousands of years. Every star chart in the galaxy marked it as a dead zone, no life. No colonies, no reason to visit. It was the kind of place explorers looked at on maps and quietly agreed to avoid. So when a distress signal erupted from its center, it shook the entire Galactic Union. Ships across multiple systems detected the same sudden broadcast, a sharp pulse, followed by a repeating call for help. At first it seemed like ordinary static, until linguists slowed the signal down. Then the shock began. The message was written in ancient human language, so old that even humans did not use it anymore. On Hellion Station, a floating embassy hub orbiting a blue-white star, diplomats began gathering in panic. Holograms flickered to life as ambassadors of dozens of species appeared around the great conference hall. Everyone talked at once. The usually calm chamber roared with overlapping voices. The signal cannot be human. Humans did not exist then, shouted the VAR ambassador, his scales twitching. Could be a trap, suggested the small, sharp-toothed Talon emissary, a lure to pull us into the expanse. It must be investigated, said the serene mere scholar, though even her pale tendrils swayed nervously. But every time someone asked a direct question, someone else interrupted. Fear had spread too fast. Only one representative spoke quietly, the human envoy. Director Aaron Hale. He stood at the far edge of the table, arms folded, face unreadable. When the noise was at its loudest, he raised a hand. The entire hall fell silent. Hale touched a device at his wrist, projecting the distress signal into the air. The grainy pattern shifted into symbols, old human script, shaped in sharp lines and curves. Many in the room could not read it, but even they felt uneasy. Something about the writing felt too familiar, too natural. This language, Hale said slowly, predates our modern records. Humanity does not know its origin, but we have protocols for this situation. The VAR counselor leaned forward. Protocols. What kind? Classified. Hale answered, the word spread through the crowd like a shockwave, while other species debated threats and theories. Humans remained silent. No public statements, no political speeches, no scientific briefings. The Terran Directorate simply closed its borders for 12 hours. Then, without warning, entire human fleets vanished from their positions. Patrol routes went empty. Shipyards sealed themselves shut. This only increased fear. On the free world of Arcelis, citizens gathered around public screens, showing the latest reports. Why are the humans hiding their ships? Someone asked. Maybe they are scared too. No, an older spacer replied, shaking his head. Humans don't move like this when they're scared. This is something else. And he was right. Inside the Terran Military Command Center on Earth, thousands of humans were in motion, but none were panicked. Engineers checked engine cycles. Pilots ran silent simulations. Officers studied maps with calm expressions. The atmosphere felt less like fear and more like preparation. In the center of it all, Admiral Surin Ward watched the distress signal repeating on a large screen. Her face was stern, but her voice steady. Prepare Protocol Obsidian, she ordered. No one questioned her command. The room shifted instantly, every crew station glowing with new strategic paths. A young officer approached her. Ma'am, if Protocol Obsidian activates, the Union will panic. They already have, Ward said. But this isn't for them. This is for us. She looked again at the ancient human symbols floating on the screen. It's been thousands of years, she whispered. Why return now? Meanwhile, back at Hellion Station, the Galactic Union leadership argued over what should be done. The Union had always prided itself on unity, multiple species working together. But today, unity had cracks. We must send scouts, shouted one delegate. No. If the humans forbade access, they may be hiding something, shouted another. Or protecting us, the mere scholar suggested. Few liked that idea. But no one dismissed it either. Ever since humanity joined the Union, they had displayed unusual characteristics. They adapted fast, recovered fast, and fought with a level of intensity that other species struggled to understand. Humans did not seek war, but, if war came, they responded with terrifying force. The idea that they might be hiding something ancient, something tied to a forgotten era, frightened every species. A soft chime echoed in the chamber. Director Hale's wrist device blinked. He tapped it, eyes narrowing. "What is it?" asked the Talon emissary. Hale looked up. "Terran Command has issued a statement." The hall leaned forward collectively. He read it aloud. "All Union fleets are to stand down and avoid the Perseus expanse. This is a Terran matter. No interference will be tolerated." The VAR ambassador slammed a fist on the table. "They cannot dictate terms to the entire Union." "They just did," murmured the mere scholar. The Talon emissary hissed. "Why are they acting like this?" "What do they know?" Hale answered calmly. "More than we wish we did." The lights flickered. A holofeed flashed in the airlift footage from across human territory. An enormous Terran fleet was forming, ship after ship, locking into formation. Glowing with power, no one in the Union had ever seen humans mobilize like this. A cold whisper spread through the diplomats. "Are they preparing for war?" Someone breathed. Director Hale shook his head slowly. "If humans were preparing for war," he said, "the galaxy would look very different, for anyone could question what that meant." Another alert sounded. The Terran fleet jumped. It vanished from scanners in a single, coordinated flash. Even the Union's best detection systems failed to track the destination. The coded FTL signatures were beyond anything the galaxy had witnessed. Alien scientists scrambled to decipher the encryption, but none succeeded. "What level of technology is this?" asked a stunned delegate. "Not one we have seen from humanity before," muttered another. Back in human space, Admiral Ward watched her fleet emerge at the edge of the Perseus expanse. The view outside the command deck was dark and silent. "A graveyard of dead stars stretched across the void. Begin sweep," Ward ordered. Her officers deployed probe arrays. They flew ahead, mapping ruins of unknown structures scattered across the expanse. Something had once lived here, something advanced, but no records existed. Ward's second-in-command approached. "Admiral, do you believe the stories are true? About the first humans?" Ward didn't answer right away. She looked at the ancient symbols still playing on her console. "It doesn't matter what I believe," she said. "Only what we find." The probe sent back their first readings. Not natural, not recent, and disturbingly similar to early Terran engineering. Ward's eyes narrowed. Focus scans on the central cluster. As the fleet moved deeper into the expanse, tension spread through every human ship. The silence felt too heavy, as if the void itself was watching. Then a sudden alarm rang across Ward's console. "Admiral," shouted a sensor officer. "We have found the source of the signal." Ward stood, stepping toward the screen. There, floating in the darkness, was a colossal structure, broken, ancient, and half buried in drifting debris. It looked like a star fortress split open long ago. But the material, the design, the architecture, it all looked human. Ward exhaled slowly. "After all this time," she whispered, "it's real." Her second-in-command stared at the structure, stunned. "Do you think the Union knows?" Ward shook her head. "No, and they must not until we understand what this place is." She opened a fleet-wide channel. "All units," she commanded, "prepare boarding teams. We enter the structure in 1 hour." On Helion Station, the Union diplomats watched helplessly. Their sensors showed nothing. Their requests to humans were ignored, and their fear grew. "What are they hiding?" whispered the mere scholar. Director Hale looked at the blank screen, then at the other species. "When humans move like this," he said quietly, "there is only one reason." The room held its breath. "They have found something that should never have been found." The Terran fleet moved in perfect silence through the cold void of the Perseus expanse. Every ship kept formation, engines humming at the lowest possible output to avoid disturbing the fragile space around them. The region felt different from normal space. Even the stars seemed dimmer here, as if light itself was afraid to exist too brightly. Admiral Saren Ward stood at the main viewport of her flagship, the TDS Resolute. The giant windows stretched across the entire command deck, offering a clear view of the ancient megastructure drifting ahead. Its broken frame floated like the skeleton of a giant beast long dead. Human spotlights scanned its metallic surface, revealing deep scars and collapsed halls. No one on the bridge spoke. Every officer, every pilot, every tech specialist watched silently. They all felt the same thing, the strange pull of something old and forgotten. Ward finally broke the silence. "Bring us closer. Minimum thrusters. Keep the shields at half strength until we know what this place holds." The order echoed through the ship. Engines fired softly, pushing the fleet toward the ruins. Her second in command, Captain Rylan Cross, approached her with a report. He was younger, sharp-eyed, and one of the few officers trusted with this mission. "Boarding teams are assembled. They're waiting for your signal." Ward nodded, though her gaze remained on the structure. "Send drones first. I want full interior scans. Anything that looks dangerous, mark it and avoid it." Cross acknowledged and left to carry out the orders. Minutes passed. Then dozens of drones darted out from the Terran ships like a swarm of silver insects. They slipped between the broken beams and torn walls, entering the hollow shell inside the megastructure. The drones found long corridors collapsed under strange melted metal. Rooms that once held powerful machinery were now dark, filled with drifting dust. Everything seemed ancient, far older than any human record, but the most unsettling discovery was not the broken walls. It was the symbols. The same ancient human script that appeared in the distress signal covered the walls in faded paint. Some markings were scratched deeply into the metal as if written in desperation. Admiral Ward leaned closer to the main screen. "Are those?" "Yes," the sensor officer replied. "The same writing." Ward spoke quietly, almost to herself. "This place was touched by humans." "But how?" Before she could say more, a sudden alert chimed across the command deck.
"Admiral?"
"One of the drones has found a sealed chamber. The power inside is still active." Ward stiffened. "Show me." The screen shifted. The drone's camera feed revealed a round door, still glowing faintly with energy. Its edges pulsed in slow, tired rhythms like an old machine, fighting to stay alive, and in the center of the door was the same symbol, repeated many times, a circle split by a vertical line. Ward froze. She had seen that symbol only once in her life. As a child, hidden deep inside a classified Terran archive she was never supposed to access. Protocol. The ancient warning. Humans were not meant to find this place. Her heart tightened, but she kept her voice steady. "Prepare the boarding teams, and send a message to the rest of the fleet. No ship is to open fire unless I give the order personally." The crew moved instantly. Down in the hangar bays, heavily armed Terran Marines stood ready. Their armor was black and silver, built for extreme environments. Their helmets hid their faces behind glowing visors. Each Marine carried compact pulse rifles and multi-sensor scanners. The boarding pods launched from the ships, gliding silently toward the mechs. Captain Rylan Cross led the first team. His boots clamped onto the surface of the ruin as he moved across the cracked metal plates. The airless void swallowed every sound. He placed his palm on the ancient door. "It was warm, sir," said one of his Marines. "This energy reading is strange. It doesn't match any known power source." Cross stepped back. "Admiral Ward, the door is still active. It may open if we access the panel." Ward's voice came through the comms. "Proceed." Carefully, the Marines worked quickly. They connected Terran tools to the old panel, bypassing the faded circuitry. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door slowly slid open. A faint mist escaped, drifting like a ghost in zero gravity. Inside, the Marines found a large chamber illuminated by dim blue lights. The floor was covered with frost. Rows of cylindrical pods lined the walls, each one sealed tight. Stasis pods. Cross's breath caught. "Admiral, these are life support pods. Thousands of them. Ward's voice was soft. Any signs of life? Cross checked his scanner. At first, the readings were unclear. Then a signal spiked across the screen, getting weak life signs. Not human. Unknown species. He moved to the nearest pod. Through the foggy glass, he could see a shape curled inside a creature with pale skin, elongated limbs, and gentle features. It looked peaceful, almost fragile. Another Marine pointed to symbols carved above the pods. More ancient writing? It looks like names. Or warnings. Cross reported everything back to the flagship. On the bridge, Admiral Ward studied the feed. Her jaw tightened. We need to bring some of these pods aboard for analysis. The Marines began marking pods for transport. But then the chamber lights flickered once, twice. Then everything went dark. A deep sound echoed. Through the structure so low, it vibrated through the Marines. Suits Captain Cross looked around quickly. Admiral. Something just activated before she could respond. The old speakers hidden in the walls crackled to life. A voice broken, tired, distorted decode through the entire mech. The same ancient human language, the same ancient human language, the same tone as the distress signal. But this time, the message was longer. Ward listened, her blood running cold. She didn't need a translation. She understood enough of the ancient script. The voice was saying, "They are coming back. We cannot stop them. If you hear this, we failed." The message repeated, slower each time. Like a dying heartbeat, Ward whispered, "We came too late." Before she could issue orders, a new alert sounded from the engineering station. Admiral. The structure's power core just surged. Energy levels rising fast. Something is waking up. Cross heard the same alarms echoing through his suit. He signaled his team to fall back. "Everyone out, now, move." The Marines raced out of the chamber, dragging 2 selected pods with them. But as they neared the exit, the walls began to glow faintly. Not with power, with heat. Something deep inside the structure was turning on. Something massive. On the Resolute. Sensors went wild. Known energy signature. It's spreading across the entire station. Ward stared at the readings, her mind racing. This isn't an attack. It's a system reboot. The ancient megastructure was waking up. The Marines jumped back into their boarding pods. Engines ignited. The pods shot away from the station just as a massive shockwave pulsed outward. The Terran fleet rocked violently. But the shields held. The megastructure stabilized. Its lights glowed bright blue. The distress signal stopped. Then a new signal replaced it. Not a message. A warning. It repeated one phrase in dozens of languages, Galactic Union tongues. Human dialects, even languages from species no one had yet met. It is returning. Run. Ward lowered her head. She understood. Now the ancient humans who built this place weren't calling for help. They were calling for someone to survive. Back on Helion Station, the galaxy waited anxiously for human answers. But none came. Instead, they saw the impossible. A second Terran fleet leaving Earth's orbit. Larger and more heavily armed than anything humanity had ever deployed publicly. The galaxy whispered in fear. What had humanity found? Why were they mobilizing? And why did their movements look less like preparation and more like a response to something the galaxy wasn't ready to face? The Terran fleet drifted at the edge of the awakened megastructure, its massive hull glowing with ancient blue light. Every sensor on every ship was locked on the structure, but none of them could make sense of the energy readings. The numbers were too high, too unstable, too old. Even the most advanced Terran computers struggled to translate what they were seeing. Admiral Sarin. Ward stood at the center of the Resolute's command deck. Her arms crossed and her face lit by the shifting blue reflections from the viewport. Her officers watched her carefully. They knew she understood more than she was saying, though she had revealed nothing yet. Captain Rylan Cross appeared beside her, his expression tense. "Admiral, engineering teams are reporting impossible data. Whatever is powering that station, It's not like anything we've seen before. Ward nodded slowly. It shouldn't exist. But here it is. Cross hesitated. And the warning? The one repeating in all languages? Ward closed her eyes for a brief moment. It means something survived. Something dangerous enough that the ancient humans tried to seal this place forever. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them had ever heard of ancient humans before the distress signal. Humanity had no confirmed record of any civilization older than 10,000 years. But this place was far older, and it carried the fingerprints of their forgotten past, deep inside the megastructure. The two stasis pods recovered by the Marines were now secured in the Resolute's medical bay. Scientists and medics surrounded them, scanning, analyzing, and cautiously waiting for signs of awakening. In the first pod, the pale, fragile being still slept. Its chest rose and fell slowly, as if struggling to breathe. Strange geometric markings, glowing faintly, covered its skin in the second pod. The being looked almost like a child, small, soft features, delicate limbs. Yet something about its presence felt unsettling, like a silence too deep. Dr. Morella Chen studied the readings, her fingers flicking across the holographic controls. She frowned at the data. Everything about them is wrong, she whispered. Their DNA isn't similar to anything in the Union, but the technology keeping them alive, this is unmistakably human. Ancient human, her assistant swallowed nervously. How is that possible? Humans weren't around that long ago. That's what history says, Chen replied. But history might be wrong. Before Chen could continue, the lights flickered. A soft, rhythmic beeping echoed from the first pod. The being inside stirred. Chen leaned closer. It's waking up. The being's eyes opened slowly. They were bright silver, glowing with faint light. For a moment, it looked confused, frightened, like someone waking from a nightmare. Then its eyes locked onto Chen. It whispered something in a soft voice, a language Chen had never heard. But the sound carried weight, meaning emotion. Chen felt it more than she understood it. She activated the translator. Try again. The being looked around, trembling. It placed a hand on the glass. Its voice shook. Are you human? Chen froze. Yes, we are humans. We found you. We want to help. The being's expression shifted from fear to shock. It pressed harder against the glass. Humans. Survived? You. Came back? Chen exchanged a confused glance with her assistant. Came back? From where? What happened here? The being shook its head weakly. Too long ago. We waited. So long. The first one said you would return. Said you would stop the darkness when it came again. Chen felt a chill crawl down her spine. Who are the first ones? The being's breath grew uneven. The ones who built this place. The ones who saved us. Humans. Older than the stars. Older than this galaxy? The assistant gasped. What is it talking about? Ancient humans didn't exist. The being interrupted with a warning look. Believe, or die. The darkness took everything. They fought it, but not enough. It is returning. Before Chen could respond, alarms blared across the ship. The comms activated with Captain Cross's voice. Medical bay, brace yourselves. The structure is emitting a new signal. Something is coming out of it, something big. Chen looked at the being. Do you know what's happening? The being nodded slowly, fear in its shining eyes. You open the door. Now. It wakes. On the Resolute's command deck, Admiral Ward watched as enormous sections of the megastructure began shifting. Plates moved. Beams rotated. The entire structure trembled as hidden machinery turned on for the first time in ages. Report. Ward barked. A sensor officer shouted, Energy signatures increasing. Something massive is activating in the central core. The lights on the megastructure flared bright gold. A deep hum vibrated through the fleet. Cross stared at the readings. It's a weapon. A planetary-scale weapon. Ward's heart sank. On what target? A moment later, the answer appeared. Above the megastructure, space itself trembled. A rift-a-wound of light and darkness opened slowly, expanding like a blooming flower. The void twisted unnaturally, colors shifting in impossible ways. Gasps filled the command deck. "What is that?" someone whispered. "A breach," Ward said quietly. "A doorway." "A doorway for what?" The answer came with a low, distant growl. It echoed through space, vibrating in their bones. Chen's voice cut through the cums. "Admiral, the being is reacting. It's terrified. It says the breach leads to the hunger, the thing that destroyed their home. The thing the ancient humans fought?" Ward gripped the railing. "Is it a creature? A machine?" "It doesn't matter," Chen replied. "It's coming." A massive shadow moved behind the breach. Something enormous approached, its shape hidden by the rippling distortion. The fleet's weapons locked on automatically, but Ward held up a hand. "Do not fire until I say so." "We don't know what will provoke it." The breach widened. The shadow stepped through. A monstrous silhouette emerged, skeletal, towering, wrapped in swirling darkness. Its form shifted like smoke and metal fused together. It had no eyes, yet every human felt its gaze. It had no mouth, yet the growl continued. It looked ancient. "Hungry Cross," whispered Admiral. "That thing. It's not alive," Ward nodded. "No, it's something else. Something that eats life." Below them, the megastructure's golden light struck the creature. The blast didn't hit the creature, it wrapped around it, scanning it. Analyzing it, the creature reacted instantly. It struck the structure with a single blow. The impact split an entire wing of the station into pieces. Ward slammed her fist on the console. "Order the fleet to full combat mode. All ships, defensive formation Delta. Keep that thing away from the breach." The fleet moved instantly, engines roaring, weapons charging, laser fire, rail shots, explosive rounds lit the void. The creature recoiled slightly, but only slightly. The attacks barely scratched it. Ward gritted her teeth. "Increase power to shield projectors. Draw reserve energy if you must." A tactical officer shouted, "Admiral, the creature is absorbing some of our attacks. It's learning." Ward's voice hardened. "Then we change tactics. Focus fire on its limbs. Slow it down. We just need time." The deck shook violently as a shockwave hit the Resolute. The creature had turned its attention to the Terran flagship. Ward stumbled but grabbed the railing. "Damage report." "Shields down to 60%. An officer replied, "Structural integrity stable for now?" The shadow creature extended a long, jagged limb made of dark energy. It reached toward the Resolute before it could strike. A beam of golden light shot from the megastructure, hitting the creature's arm. The dark limb dissolved instantly. Crust stared at the screen in shock. "The station, it's helping us." Ward nodded slowly. The ancient humans left this weapon behind not to kill the creature, but to hold it back. But the station was too old, too damaged, too weak. The golden light flickered. The creature roared and slammed. Into the structure again, pieces of metal and debris scattered into space. Chen's voice returned to the cums, panicked. "Admiral, the being in the pod says the weapon can't hold the creature alone. It needs human activation, human control like the first ones used to do." Ward felt a shiver run through her. "It's a human-made weapon that only humans can operate?" Chen confirmed. "Yes, it needs a human mind to connect with it. Without that, it will fail." Ward looked at the breach, growing wider. She looked at the weapon, failing. Then she looked at her crew. "Prepare a shuttle," she said. "I'm going inside." Cross grabbed her arm. "Admiral, you can't. It's too dangerous." Ward stepped forward, her eyes hard. "Humanity cannot run from this. If the first ones built this weapon for us, then we must finish what they started." The fleet watched as the shuttle launched toward the glowing structure, and far behind them, the breach widened even more. Something worse was coming through. The shuttle carrying Admiral Saren Ward drifted toward the glowing megastructure like a small spark heading into the heart of a dying star. The blue and gold lights running across the station's massive surface pulsed weakly as if struggling to stay alive. Each pulse echoed through the shuttle's systems, making the panels tremble. Ward stood at the front, gripping the rail as the structure grew larger in the viewport. Her expression was calm, but her mind raced. She remembered the ancient human symbol that marked the sealed chamber. She remembered the stasis pods, the warnings, and the terrifying creature emerging from the breach. She knew one thing with certainty. If she failed, humanity and the galaxy would not survive. Her pilot, Lieutenant Maravale, glanced at her carefully. "Admiral, final approach in 20 seconds. The docking port is unstable. It keeps shifting." Ward nodded. "Hold the position as best you can. Once I'm inside, pull back to the Resolute." "Understood?" "Yes, ma'am." The shuttle slowed near a glowing circular entrance. Energy rippled like liquid across its edges, trying to stabilize. Vale matched the rhythm, gently guiding the shuttle until the docking clamps latched on. Ward exhaled softly. "Open the hatch." The shuttle door slid open, revealing a corridor bathed in soft blue light. The air inside the station smelled old like dust, cold metal, and something faintly sweet. Ward stepped inside alone. Her boots hit the smooth floor. Instantly, lights flickered on ahead of her, guiding her deeper. "This place recognizes you," Vale said through the comms. Ward didn't respond. She walked forward slowly. The walls were covered in faded symbols, the same ancient human writing. She brushed her fingers over one of the markings. A memory tugged at her. She had seen these symbols as a child, hidden in old Terran archives. A forbidden room, a voice she never forgot, a warning. If the first signal returns, humanity must answer. Now she finally understood. The first ones, ancient humans, had built this place. They had fought something that should not exist. They had failed. The darkness had returned. A deep vibration shook the station, pulling her from her thoughts. Ward tapped her come. "Shuttle report," Vale answered quickly, voice tense. "Admiral, the creature is attacking again. The fleet is holding, but not for long. The breach is getting wider. We need that weapon online, whatever it is." Ward moved faster. The corridor opened into a huge chamber filled with floating lights and transparent platforms. At the center, a column of golden energy pulsed in weak, uneven beats. Machinery hummed softly around it. Her eyes widened. This was the core, the control center of the ancient weapon. She stepped onto the main platform. As soon as she did, the energy column brightened. The floating lights drifted toward her, forming circular patterns in the air. A holographic figure appeared, a faint silhouette of a human. Tall and armored, features blurry, Ward stiffened. The figure spoke in the ancient human language. But somehow, Ward understood. Designation: Terran descendant detected. Weapon control is available. State your purpose. "Oh," Ward swallowed. "To stop the creature, to protect humanity." The figure flickered. "You carry their blood. But do you carry their will?" She stepped forward. "I do." "Then connect." The figure raised its hand. The energy column split open, revealing a glowing sphere floating inside. "Your mind must guide the weapon. Alone." Ward hesitated only a second before placing both hands on the sphere. Her vision exploded. She wasn't in the chamber anymore. She was everywhere, floating above the station, above the creature, above the fleet. She could see the megastructure's hidden systems, its broken parts, its failing power lines. More than that, she could feel its pain. This weapon had once been whole. It had once burned like a sun, built by humans who were more advanced than anything humanity had become. It had fought the darkness for ages. Now it was a dying relic. Ward gritted her teeth and pushed her. Consciousness deeper. The weapon opened its memories to her. She saw flashes, ancient humans standing tall, guiding the machine. Entire fleets of silver ships. Battles fought across galaxies, a shadow swallowing stars, then silence. Darkness, death, Death Ward. pulled herself out of the memories as alarms echoed across the mental space. The weapon's power grid was collapsing. She focused, using her mind the way the first ones once had. Reroute energy. Stabilize the core. Channel the megastructure's strength. Her real body trembled, but she held on. The chamber filled with golden light. Outside, beams of energy erupted from the station, hitting the creature with blinding force. On the Resolute, Captain Cross watched the display with wide eyes. Admiral Ward is in control of the weapon. Everyone braces is going to get rough. The creature roared, thrashing against the golden beams. Its darkness twisted violently, forming defensive spikes. But Ward pushed harder. More energy, more power. The weapon strained, shaking the entire structure. Chen's voice echoed from the medical bay. The being in the pod says the weapon has one last function, one final attack. But it will consume the operator completely. Cross froze. Consume? You mean yes? If the Admiral uses the final attack, she won't survive. Cross slammed his fist on the console. Admiral, you can't do this. There has to be another way. Inside the mind link, Ward heard him faintly. She smiled sadly. Alan, you're a good officer. But this was always our burden. The creature screamed, its form unraveling under the golden assault. But it wasn't enough. The breach behind it pulsed, sending new tendrils of darkness through. If the breach opened fully, millions no. Billions would die. Ward steadied herself. She activated the final. Protocol golden light roared across the weapon core. Her body shook violently. Blood dripped from her nose. Her eyes glowed with reflected light. The holographic figure reappeared, its voice soft. Your sacrifice will be remembered. Ward whispered, make it count, and unleashed the final attack. Outside, the megastructure ignited like a newborn star. A massive beam of pure golden light erupted, slicing through the shadow creature. The darkness screamed soundlessly as its form broke apart. Scattering into dust that evaporated instantly, the beam continued. Slamming into the breach, the tier in space trembled, shook, and shattered like glass. Silence. Darkness vanished. The breach was gone. A shockwave rippled through the void, pushing ships gently backward. The golden light faded slowly. On the Resolute, everyone held their breath. The creature was destroyed. The galaxy was safe. But Admiral Saren Ward. Chen checked her medical feed. Her vitals. They're gone. The weapon took everything. Cross's shoulders shook. She saved us all, he whispered. The megastructure's lights dimmed completely. It drifted silently now, its final purpose fulfilled. But as the Terran fleet watched, something unexpected happened. A faint pulse of blue. Energy flickered inside the structure. Then a soft voice whispered across every Terran come channel. Not Ward's voice, not ancient humans. Something new. It is not over. More will come. Prepare yourselves, humans. The first ones believed in you. And now, so do we. The Terran fleet drifted quietly in the shadow of the dying megastructure. The once bright golden surface was now dull and cracked, floating like the remains of a giant forgotten sun. Every ship in the fleet seemed to hold its breath as the faint blue pulse continued to shimmer from deep inside the structure. No one moved. No one spoke. Captain Rylan Cross stood on the bridge of the Resolute, his eyes locked onto the pulse. It was soft, warm, and somehow alive. But it was the voice that unsettled him the most. A voice that told them the danger was not over. A voice that claimed something else was coming. Open all channels, Cross said quietly. Lieutenant Hale tapped the console. Channels open, sir? Fleet is listening. Cross exhaled slowly. This is Captain Rylan Cross of the Terran Federation. Whoever or whatever you are, speak again. For a moment nothing happened. The blue pulse flickered once, twice, and then the voice returned. It was calm and soft, but it echoed as if spoken by more than one being.
Terrans.
You carry the legacy of the first ones. The darkness you saw was only a small fragment. A scout, The real threat sleeps beyond the edge of your known galaxy. And now, it stirs once more. Chen, watching from the medical bay screen, felt a chill rise in her chest. A scout. That monster was just a scout? The voice continued. The first ones created this weapon to stop the void creatures. They failed. But their dreams survived in your blood. And because of Admiral Sarin Ward, because of her sacrifice, the weapon's core has awakened again. Cross stepped closer to the main display. Are you saying the Admiral is alive? Silence. Then the blue pulse brightened gently. She is not gone. Not completely. The weapon did not destroy her, it absorbed her. Her mind, her will, and her strength remain inside the core. She guides its light even now. Cross's breath caught. Saren. Around him, the crew stared in awe. Their admiral had saved the galaxy, and somehow she lived on inside the ancient technology. The voice spoke again. But the darkness will return. The breach you saw was a minor tear. The real gateway is older, deeper, and opening slowly. You have little time. Cross gripped the console. Tell us how to stop it. Tell us what we need to do. The pulse dimmed, as though thinking. Restore the weapon to full power. Reactivate the lost systems. Only then can humanity fight what comes next. But you cannot repair it alone. Seek the remnants left behind by the first ones. Hidden worlds. Forgotten fleets. Lost knowledge. Find them. Learn. Prepare. Cross's voice hardened. We will. Good, the voice whispered. Because the galaxy fears you now. They saw what your kind can do. They saw your admiral destroy a shadow beast older than their civilizations. They will whisper of you. They will fear your name. Use that fear to unite them, or lose everything. The choice is yours. The blue pulse faded slowly until only darkness remained inside the giant structure. The voice was gone. The entire bridge fell silent. Lieutenant Hell turned toward Cross, sir. What are your orders? Cross stared into the void, his heart heavier than ever. We follow the Admiral's path, he said. We find the lost knowledge, and we get ready for war. Chen's voice chimed softly through the intercom. Captain, I found something. Report. Being in the pod, the one we rescued, it just woke up again. They say they know where we must go first. Cross's eyes sharpened. I'm on my way. He left the bridge and moved quickly through the hallways. Officers stood aside, watching him with a mix of sadness and new determination. They had all felt the shockwave of the final attack. They had all seen the breach close. They knew the cost. But they also knew the galaxy would not forget in the medical bay. The rescued being lay inside a new containment field. Its skin glowed faintly silver, and its eyes, large and bright, watched Cross with calm understanding. You heard the voice? Cross said. The being nodded slowly. I did, and I know where you must go. The first ones left a hidden archive on a world called Elisara Prime, buried beneath the ice mountains. It contains the designs of their Starforge's machines capable of creating weapons powerful enough to fight the darkness. Cross nodded. Then that's our next destination. But the being lifted a hand weakly. There is more. The darkness knows you destroyed its scout. It knows the humans have awakened the old weapon. It will not wait. It will send hunter's creatures far stronger than the one you fought. Cross felt a cold weight settle in his chest. How long do we have? The being's eyes dimmed. Not long. Weeks, perhaps less. Cross straightened. Then we move now. He turned and activated the ship-wide comm. All hands, this is Captain Cross. Prepare for immediate jump. Our mission isn't over. Admiral Ward gave everything to protect this galaxy. Now we continue her fight. We head to Elisara Prime. We seek the knowledge of the first ones, and we get ready for whatever comes next. The crew erupted in determined voices across the ship, but deep in the shadows of unknown space, something awakened. A massive shape moved through black, starless void. A creature far larger and older than the one Ward had destroyed. Its body was made of shifting darkness, crackling energy, and countless void tendrils. It opened a single glowing eye that stared, directly toward Terran space. A rumbling sound filled the emptiness, something between a growl and a laugh. Then it spoke not with a voice, but with a thought that rippled across the unseen corners of the universe. The humans have awakened. The light returns, seeking war. Another pulse of energy echoed as the creature turned. Good, let them come. And with a ripple of darkness, it vanished far away, unaware of the full danger. The Terran fleet charged toward Illusora Prime. Engines glowed bright. Shields powered up. Every officer stood ready. Cross returned to the bridge. He took one last look at the dying megastructure, the final resting place of Admiral Saren Ward. He whispered, "We won't fail you, I promise." Resolute's engines roared. The fleet jumped, and humanity's next great war began.